This stuff kind of it interests me, but at the same time kind of creeps me out.
Now it's time for the Change for Brains podcast.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Change for Brains podcast, a show where two regular guys share their nickel and dime thoughts on a variety of different subjects, and at the end of the day, you just got to ask yourself, does any of it really make sense? This is episode number 8 and part 2 of our Conspiracy and Unsolved Mysteries series. Today we are talking about aliens. Chris, do you know anything about aliens?
I've got a little knowledge, I guess, on the topic. No firsthand experience or anything.
Well, I can't say I've had firsthand experience like confirmed, but I've seen some strange things in the sky at night. Like sometimes you see something that moves a little weird, and you're like, maybe that's a shooting star, but you know, I don't know. I've seen some weird stuff. Let's just say that. Have you had any experiences with anything like that, or never?
Oh, I don't think I've ever had any real experiences like that. I mean, I've seen shooting stars and stuff like that, but no, nothing I would consider like a UFO or anything to that degree.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's get into the nitty gritty on this, and I think first we got to start where probably the most famous place known for aliens, UFOs, and whatnot, and that's Area 51. Now, my understanding is it's just a government base where they perform or they test different things for the government and for the military. But there's been several stories of like people who have worked there and whatnot that say they've seen things. I think you were just telling me earlier. Do you remember the gentleman's name of the story that you were telling?
Yeah. So basically, there was a guy named Bob Lazar that apparently did I guess he did an interview for TV back in 1989, where he claims, which he says that he worked for Los Alamos Laboratory at one point, but he claims that there was an area. I'm trying to think of what it was called. I think it's yeah, I can't remember the name of the actual place, but there's a place south of Area 51 that he claims where they reverse engineered alien spacecraft, and claims to have been a direct worker for them. Which the interesting thing about him is a lot of, I guess they went back and researched a lot of things about him, and everything that they were able to figure out that he did work for that laboratory, that he was in the area at the time. I mean, so most of what they could verify, his story matched up. So it is pretty interesting.
Yeah, this stuff kind of it interests me, but at the same time kind of creeps me out. You know, like it's one of those things like if you've seen it from a distance, it would kind of be cool, but if you've seen something like that up close, like a real UFO, I think, yeah, it would probably give me a panic attack.
And it looks like the military base I was talking about, apparently it's called S4. And like I said, it's south of Area 51, but that's where he claimed that they were reverse engineering alien spacecraft.
It seems like there's a lot of activity out there in that desert area in like New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, in those spaces. So I mean, now there have been sightings in bigger city areas. One of them being Phoenix, which is in Arizona, but it's a big metropolitan area. Back in, let's see, it was 1997. It was called the Phoenix Lights, or Lights over Phoenix. Over 700 witnesses, and they said that it hung around for 106 minutes. Now you can look up you can see some footage online and whatnot, but I mean, like most UFO footage, it's not real clear, and I think there's one video that's halfway decent, but it doesn't prove anything. Now, was it real or not? I don't know. They did hold a press conference the next day for it, making fun of it. They had a guy come out dressed as a green alien, like with the news there and everything. I mean, they made a mockery of it, but I mean, 700 people is a lot of people to see something for it to be a hoax. You know, and maybe, I mean, there might have been some breakthroughs saying that it was some kind of military experiment or whatever. That's usually their go-to when people end up seeing something they're not supposed to and start asking questions. Uh, Another big sighting was, this was again out in well, this is New Mexico, out in the desert in Roswell. It was the Roswell Incident, or the Roswell crash. A place called Foster Ranch. There was some kind of flying object flew into one of the hills there. Well, I think it was a local rancher had driven up to check out what it was. I'm not sure if it was his land. I'm guessing it was. And when he checked it out, he was freaked out because it was stuff like he'd never seen before. He calls the local sheriff. The local sheriff comes out. He checks it out. He's not sure what it is. He calls a military guy that he knows. Military comes out there, checks it out. They take some of the parts back and get it checked out. And they're going to put a press release out the next day, stating that they found this flying saucer. Well, something had happened in the next 24 hours where they had made it's either the military guy or the sheriff drive back out, posed next to some broken pieces of something. We don't even know if it was actually what they picked up or if it was just something they threw together to kind of cover it up. And they said it was just a weather balloon and it was a false alarm. And so that's all it was. And of course, you know, over time, people have forgotten about it. And then I guess later on, that same military officer or somebody who was in that branch came out and said that it was all a big cover up, that it was not a weather balloon. He wasn't sure what it was, but there was no way it was a weather balloon or our military stuff. Well, I don't know how to say it. Weaponry. If you heard something like that, do you think, yeah, they're telling the truth? I mean, this is just a hoax, or do you think the government would cover up something like this?
I kind of lean towards the fact that they would cover up something like that. And I guess there's a lot of other possible explanations for, I guess, depending on what it is as to why they didn't want to reveal. So I mean, I guess there could be a lot of reasons, but I mean, them obviously, I think that's been known that they're definitely willing to cover things up. So definitely wouldn't just completely blindly trust that there was nothing there.
Yeah, and there's been several rumors over the years, not just with aliens, just with other stuff that the U.S. has known about stuff beforehand and didn't let the public know. And to a certain degree, I kind of understand. You don't want to create mass panic. You also don't want people invading Area 51 like all those people were planning on doing a few years ago, you know, looking for aliens. You know, sometimes it's better the less some people know. So, I mean, I kind of understand that, but it's definitely an interesting subject. And if they did cover it up, you know, I wonder if they ever would let us fully in on it, which kind of brings me to my next part of this. Their government actually did release some footage back in April, around April 2020. They released some Pentagon footage of these unidentified flying objects. Now, they're not saying they're alien, but they're saying they weren't sure what it was. I think it was some pilots that seen them, and they were maneuvering in ways that they could not explain. And they had these tapes or these videos under wraps for a long time, and I'm not sure why they decided to release them then. You know, a lot of times people say when the government does release something like that, they you know, they're covering something else up. So who knows if it was real or not. But the last thing I'll bring up on these UFOs, and this honestly is probably the creepiest thing I think of all of it, is the rumored men in black. And no, I'm not talking about Will Smith showing up to your house with a little pin that is going to make you forget what just happened. But supposedly these men in black have been around for years. Now, some have said that they are a government agency. Some have said they are like aliens working with the government, or they're just aliens here and the government knows about them. And they visit anybody who does really any deep digging or has actually seen a UFO in person. They say that these guys are super creepy looking, like pale white skin. It looks like almost like someone took dead skin and kind of like a Michael Myers, but like skin tight, stretched over their face. Ruby red lips and like darkened eyes. And of course, they wear black suits, and some would wear hats. But when they weren't wearing hats, they were bald. And there's been a few different stories of people that have come out and said that they've had visits from them. There's even a celebrity. It was who was it? Dan Aykroyd said that when he was filming his show, it was called Out There, the Out There Show. And when they were finishing filming one night, he came outside to take a phone call, and across the road, there was a guy, or there was a couple guys in a black car staring at him, motionless and emotionless, wasn't showing any kind of thing, just stared at him. One really tall guy got up, got out of the car, and stared at him for a little bit longer. He said he looked away for a split second, looked back, and the car was gone. Nowhere in sight, not down the street. There was no corners to turn around, nothing. They just gone. And then he said that, I think it was the next day, they canceled the show. No explanation whatsoever. It was just the network decided to go a different way. So that's really strange. And I mean, other celebrities that have claimed to see aliens like or UFOs in person include like Demi Lovato, Russell Crowe, and of course the guy we know pretty well, Post Malone. He actually owns land out in, I think, Utah, and he said he's seen plenty of them. So at the end of the day, I guess the question is, are we alone? So I want to get some of your thoughts on it, and then we'll move on to our movie segment.
There's which I told you the story earlier, which I mean this goes back a long time. It was like 1911 or so. The story, I guess, at Lovelock, Nevada, about the basically the giants there. Like they've found bones in caves of. And I kind of get I mean, obviously you can have, I mean, it's possible, obviously, to have somebody that's 8 foot tall. I mean, that's not impossible by any means. I mean, that's known. But the fact that they found a cave full of like all bones in there, where these people that were like 9 feet tall, and like a whole group of them, like, is pretty interesting. So obviously the speculation is there that they could have been among us back then. And of course, apparently they, I guess they were like feuding with the tribe and stuff there. So, and apparently they supposedly locked them in that cave and then burned them is the story. But speculation is that could have been a group of aliens back in the late 1800s, 1900 range. So a lot of stories out there.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like a tall alien race.
That's what the rumor.
I mean, it's possible, and we've talked about this. I mean, there's so much that we haven't explored out in space and whatnot. We've been to Mars and thought that was such a feat, or to the moon, but I mean, look how much is past that, or what we can't see. So for there to be other life out there, I completely think it's possible and interesting. Now, if they've been here or not, that's a different question. If they have, I just wonder who they've seen that represents our human race. Have they been to Texas, where you cross the line, you might get shot? Have they been to California, where there's just so many different walks of life. I've met different humans. I wonder if they're human or not. You know what I mean? And so another thing is, if they've come here, they've had to see the wars that we've been in, because we've been in war for as long as I've been alive and before then. So they got to think that we're an aggressive race. And I would think if they're peaceful at all, or if they wanted to dominate, they would just come in and wipe us out if they thought we were a threat. So I don't know. There's been a lot of interesting stuff with technology advancing as much as it has and has. If there is UFOs out there, I got a feeling in the next 10, 20 years, we'll probably actually get good photos of them. So it'll be interesting to see. But with that, I think we're going to wrap up the alien/UFO talk for this podcast and move on to our movie segment. With that said, are you ready for your movie line of the week?
I'm ready.
All right. This kind of plays along a little bit, I guess you could say. The movie line is, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
I actually don't know if I know this one. I know that I'm sure I've seen the movie.
I'll give
you Predator.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yep, that's it. I can't do an Arnold impersonation. I can try, but yeah, I mean, if I could have done the Arnold impersonation, probably would have got it right off the bat. I guess I could have said "Get to the chopper" too.
Yeah, I think I would have probably gotten that one a little bit quicker. But I got it. I had to think about that one for a second.
I thought Predator. I guess Predator was an alien, right? I mean, he wasn't like the alien that he fought, but he was a form of alien, wasn't he?
Yeah, I would say it was definitely from another planet. So I guess it beats the alien definition.
Yeah, I don't know any lines from the movie Alien, so sorry. Guess I could have went ET phone home. Anyways, Chris, it's time for your movie review. Let's get after it.
All right, so I've got two movies that I'm going to do today. One of them, curiosity got the best of me, and that is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So this one did not hit theaters anywhere near me. So this one I had to wait to, which I think is a good thing, but I had to wait for this one to come out to video on demand. All right, so started off. So runtime, hour and 40 minutes. Let's talk about, real quick, how some other places rated it. So IMDb gave it a 3.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 3%. Metacritic, 16%. And actually, this one is amazing to me that this is actually an accurate number, but Google users apparently 57% liked this movie. So I don't know what kind of drugs those people are on, but something.
Yeah.
So, all right. So one thing with horror movies, I think there's two extremes that have to happen. So one, you either need to like the characters and obviously you're pulling for them to make it, or two, they need to make you just absolutely hate the characters to where you're almost hoping something bad happens to them. So it's usually there's one extreme or the other. So Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, none of that happened. I just didn't care one way or the other. Didn't dislike. It just really jumps right into the stupidity, very early in the movie.
You're like, let's just nuke the place.
Yeah. There's nothing good about this movie. Horrible in every aspect. And I was thinking this movie may be a 50 for me, 40 or 50 coming in. So to give you my score, I would give this maybe 5 cents out of a dollar. So we're gonna go really low. The Rotten Tomatoes score at 3% is pretty accurate. So bad.
So it's basically time of your life you're never gonna get back that you.
And preface that too. Like I like B horror movies that are like low budget and like cheesy. So that's the thing. Like there's a lot of those movies that I actually enjoy, but nothing about this movie is good. It's not like it's so bad it's good. Doesn't achieve that either. It's bad.
So what Chris is saying is he implores you, do not go watch this movie.
Yeah, I would advise against it. There's nothing. Again, curiosity got the best of me. Didn't go in expecting to just love it, but I didn't expect it to be like one of the worst movies that I've ever seen, and it accomplished that feat.
Well, coming from a guy that watches more movies than I've ever known anybody else in life to do, I don't mean that as a bad thing. I would take his advice. Because wow, I expected low, but that's like bottom of the barrel.
It's definitely bad. So definitely advise stay away.
All right, well let's rinse that taste out of our mouth and move on to the next one.
All right, and next movie, actually went and watched it earlier today. So the next movie was Evil Dead Rise. So all of the original trilogy, obviously loved it. I guess the one of the sequels, or I guess the remake, I guess maybe a better way to describe it, the one that came out a few years ago, it was good. So I actually went into this one with pretty high hopes. A couple things about it: it's an hour, 36-minute runtime. IMDb gave this one a 7.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 85%, Metacritic 68, and Google users, who I'll never trust again after 56%, like Winnie the Pooh, they gave it 87%. So all around, everybody's scores are pretty high for this one. So a couple things about this one. Which, if you're familiar with the Evil Dead movies, you know they're all going to be like extremely over-the-top gore and stuff. That's pretty much a norm with them. So definitely expect that. If you're squeamish or stuff like that bothers you, this is definitely not going to be the movie for you. But if you've seen any of the others, I mean, you should know to kind of expect that. So really, started a little bit slower than I would have liked, but the last half of the movie, honestly, I thought was amazing. So very enjoyable. Again, just over the top gore. So again, expect that. No, I think I showed you that other review of the guy reviewing Evil Dead that would just kept saying "ew" over and over and over. And I think there's two moments in the movie that I guess probably is where that was coming from. But no, it's a great movie. Definitely lives up to the Evil Dead name. Again, out of the 5 they've done, all of these are good. And really, you don't have to. I heard that this is really a sequel to the first trilogies. Like it's playing off of those, and not so much the one that came out a few years ago. But really, other than there are some Easter eggs, some throwbacks. There, I think it would help to have seen the other ones. But this is a movie you could really go in having not seen any of them and still very much enjoy it if you like horror movies. All of that being said, in my score on this one, I would give it 75 cents out of $1. So good score. Nice. Highly recommend going to check this one out.
All right, good deal. All right, so one horrible movie and one pretty decent movie. I like it. Yeah, just to add to what you're saying with the whole gore thing, I think that's just a Sam Raimi like special. Besides the Spider-Man movies, like almost every movie he's directed has had some kind of gore in it. I mean, even Doctor Strange in the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And hopefully this isn't a spoiler if you haven't seen it. And don't listen to this part, but that giant squid thing gets its eyeball ripped out. Remember that?
I do remember that.
And then the evil Doctor Strange gets impaled on a metal fence. So, there's a lot of creepy aspects and gore to that. I mean, so that's kind of, like I said, that's a Sam Raimi special. So, and
this one was, which it was directed by, Raimi, of course, did all of the originals. This one, I guess, was Lee Cronin I was kind of curious. I'm really not familiar. Apparently, he did the Hole in the Ground, Ghost Train, and then I guess Evil Dead Rise is what it's showing he's known for. So
Yeah,
he's
but
had just a big hit.
I don't think I don't think Sam directed this one, but he was involved somehow. Like he helped write it or something. I could be wrong on that.
I think
But
I do think you're right. Because I think I saw. I didn't stay. There's not a. I guess another good thing to know. There's not a mid-credit or post-credit scene on this one, so you don't have to stick around. But I did happen to see at the very end. I think he might have been a writer. I think you're right.
So yeah, but even if he didn't, I guarantee whoever did this tried to keep true to his work because it's kind of his thing. Uh, so yeah, all right. So anyways, I think that's a wrap up on this podcast. We'd like to hear your guys' thoughts and whatnot on. We're having technical difficulties, but we'd like to hear your guys' thoughts and whatnot on aliens, UFOs, if you believe in them or not. Um, let us know in the comments. And otherwise, until next time, guys, we are cashing out. See ya.